Los Angeles in the 1930s was a city split between progress and corruption. The film industry was booming, oil money was flowing, and City Hall was run like a private club. Behind the polished marble and civic speeches, there were payoffs, favors, and police officers who worked less for justice and more for whoever could afford them. The city called it business as usual. One man decided to call it what it was: crime. His name was Harry Raymond. He wasn't a celebrity reporter or a newspaper editor. He was a tough, sharp-tongued private investigator, a former cop who had once worked for the LAPD and the district attorney's office before walking away in disgust. By the mid-1930s, Raymond had joined forces with civic reformers like Clifford Clinton, the outspoken restaurant owner who had made it his mission to clean up Los Angeles politics. Together, they started digging into the corruption that everyone whispered about but no one dared to challenge. The city's mayor at the time, Frank L. Shaw, had been elected on promises of efficiency and reform. But by 1937, Los Angeles had learned what those words really meant: a city hall tied to organized gambling, protection rackets, and padded contracts. Under Shaw's watch, the LAPD's intelligence squad, known informally as the Red Squad, had turned into something much darker than an anti-communist unit. It was spying on city employees, wiretapping critics, and intimidating anyone who questioned the administration. The man running that squad was Captain Earl Kinnett. Sharp suit, slick hair, cold stare. Inside police circles, he was both feared and respected. Outside, he was practically invisible. Raymond had started gathering evidence that linked Kinnett's squad to illegal surveillance and possibly even blackmail operations for the mayor's office. It was dangerous work. Raymond knew that crossing the LAPD's intelligence wing wasn't like going after politicians. It meant going after men with guns. Then came the morning that proved just how dangerous that could be. It was January 14, 1938, and the air was cool over Boyle Heights, where Harry Raymond lived with his family at 955 Orm Street. He walked outside, climbed into his 1937 Chevrolet sedan, and turned the key. A split second later, the car exploded. The blast tore through the front seat and shattered windows up and down the block. Neighbors ran out screaming. Somehow, by what can only be called a miracle, Raymond was still alive. He was burned, bleeding, and in shock, but conscious. As firefighters doused the smoking wreckage, investigators found the remains of a time bomb wired directly to the ignition. This wasn't some random act of violence or revenge. It was professional. Whoever did it had military-grade precision and insider knowledge. Raymond was rushed to General Hospital, and when detectives finally reached him, he whispered the same name over and over: Kinnett. The story exploded across Los Angeles faster than the bomb itself. Newspapers called it the bomb scandal at City Hall. The idea that the LAPD, the very department meant to protect the city, might have tried to assassinate a man for exposing corruption shocked even the most cynical Angelenos. For the first time in years, people demanded answers. The Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office opened a criminal investigation, and all the evidence led back to the LAPD's own intelligence division. It turned out Kinnett had been bugging Raymond's phone, tailing his car, and compiling dossiers on reformers and journalists critical of City Hall. Police surveillance logs found in his office matched Raymond's movements almost to the minute. When investigators tested wire fragments from the bomb, they found fingerprints belonging to Kinnett's men. Within weeks, Captain Earl Kinnett, along with fellow officers Roy J. Allen and Fred Brown, was arrested and charged. The courtroom became the most watched stage in the city. Reporters filled every bench, sketch artists drew every smirk, and the jury listened to testimony that sounded more like a gangster story than a police case. When the verdict came, it sent shockwaves through Los Angeles. Kinnett was convicted of attempted murder, assault with intent to commit murder, and malicious use of explosives. Officer Roy Allen was convicted of malicious use of explosives. Fred Brown was acquitted. For the first time in city history, high-ranking LAPD officers were going to prison, not for taking bribes, but for trying to kill a whistleblower. Harry Raymond survived his injuries, but his body was never the same. He was scarred, half-deaf, and walked with a limp. Still, he lived long enough to see the men who targeted him convicted, and the mayor who enabled them fall. Because if the bombing shook the city, what came next cracked it open completely. Public outrage boiled over. Frank Shaw's name became synonymous with corruption. Reform groups mobilized with one clear goal: to throw him out of office. The movement spread from Boyle Heights to Hollywood, uniting blue-collar workers, business owners, church groups, and civic activists. In September 1938, voters did something no major American city had ever done before. They recalled their sitting mayor. Shaw became the first mayor of a major U.S. city ever removed from office by recall. That moment marked the start of a new era in Los Angeles politics. The city elected Judge Fletcher Bowron, a man known for his integrity and intolerance for corruption. Bowron came in swinging. He purged dozens of officials tied to Shaw's network, fired or reassigned officers who had protected the old regime, and started rebuilding public trust from the ground up. Under Bowron, the LAPD was forced into one of the most sweeping internal cleanups in its history. The intelligence division was dismantled and rebuilt under civilian oversight. Wiretapping without court orders was banned. The police chief's power over city politics was curbed, and new civil service rules made promotions depend on merit rather than loyalty. Bowron also worked to modernize how justice was handled in the city's courts. For years, judges had been appointed through political favors. A handshake from a donor could determine a verdict. Now the courts were placed under stricter administrative supervision, and judicial appointments became subject to independent review. Transparency became the new buzzword at City Hall, and while corruption didn't vanish overnight, Los Angeles began to look a little more like the city it claimed to be, and the spark for all of it was a burned car in Boyle Heights. Harry Raymond never returned to the LAPD or full-time investigative work, but his courage turned him into a quiet legend. He'd started as a cop, ended as a victim, and in between forced a city to confront its own rot. He lived until the early 1950s, long enough to see Los Angeles grow cleaner, bigger, and louder, a place that would forever carry the contradiction he helped expose, a city obsessed with its image, yet built on its secrets. The bombing that was meant to silence him ended up doing the opposite. It spoke for him. It screamed that Los Angeles could no longer hide behind its glamour. The blast didn't just wound a man, it wounded City Hall's illusion of invincibility. If you look at LA today, its watchdog journalists, its civilian police commissions, its recall culture, you can trace some of it back to 1938, when an old ex-cop named Harry Raymond climbed into his car and turned a key that changed the city forever.